So here we are back for some more creepypastas, or should I say r/NoSleep, because that's what I've been doing now. I've watched Mini Lad's series of r/NoSleep about 5 different times because I seriously can't get enough of it. Even though some of this scares me a little bit because they are pretty kind of like creepy, but I try not to be bothered by it because I just think of it as as it's fiction, not real. Sorry, the immersion is kind of ruined by the bright lighting of outside, and we were on at my bed because I'm very lazy. So yes, we are back with some creepypasta / r/NoSleep, inspired by the lovely Mini Lad. Today, so if you don't know what r/NoSleep is, it's NoSleep is a place for realistic stories. Everything is true here, even if it's not. Please thoroughly read our rules and guidelines before posting or commenting. So this one is quite a long one, but not super duper long. This one is called Everything I Touch Dies. First off, I need to warn you, if you're reading this and you start feeling ill, click it off. Seriously. If you feel the slightest hint of sickness, drowsiness, fatigue, or eyesight and hearing disturbances, it is vitally important for you to stop reading. I don't feel any of that. If I did, I probably wouldn't care. I'm a surgeon. Well, I was a surgeon. A damn good one, if I say so myself. I might have been not be the best father, husband, or even a friend, but when I was performing an operation, I was a master. I never thought about the person under my knife so I could maintain a professional distance, but that was part of my strength. Too much empathy leads to panic when things go wrong during an operation, and that clouds your brain. You have to be cold. That's not to say things always went right, of course. They say doctors bury their mistakes. I've buried a few the year my divorce got nasty. Not so many I'd face in disciplinary action. I was quite good at covering my tracks, but enough to raise a few eyebrows. Every time I fought paranoia that one of the nurses would smell mint on my breath and would guess I was hiding the whiff of alcohol. But I kept getting away with it, and that made me complacent. I admit it. I never should have been working that night. I sunk a few too many. The decree absolutely was nearly through, and I was losing custody, aside from the odd weekend here and there. But I reasoned with the appendix removal with a standard procedure that a surgeon of my talents could perform in their sleep. So I went ahead. It was the slightest of slips and sealed by fate of the patients. Human bodies are such fragile things when you think about it. We're all leading a knife on the edge of every second of every day. I fought to save the woman for over an hour, but it was hopeless. She died of blood loss. I think you better inform the family yourself, one of the nurses said. Most of her face was covered by a surgical mask. By the way she looked at me, it was brutal. Her eyes were narrowed, accusing. Panic started to swell up inside of me. As I walked out of the family room, all I could think about was the tragedy of my brilliant career ending this way. Such promise, such talent, it was all taken away from me. It was tragic, really. The woman's husband's cold, dark eyes bored into me as I entered the room. He knew, of course. He already knew. Being ushered into the family room and waiting an hour longer than I should have told him that all he needed to know. That made it easy for me to break the news, I suppose, but he didn't panic or get hysterical. Those eyes just watched me, calculating, glaring into my very soul. I'm sorry to have to tell you this. I launched into my spiral of grieving relatives. I was good at it. Maybe I should have been an actor. That I would have left much money for my wife to stain for me before the divorce. And I want to assure you we did everything we could. I'm so sorry for your loss. You're drunk, Edward, the man replied in a deep, emotionless voice. I was expecting that. I could still smell the mint on my breath. Excuse me? You're drunk. Don't deny it. You murdered my wife. I looked at the door. I could see some nurses outside, but no one's looking in. If he got violent, I would have shouted for help. As I said, sir, I'm sorry for your loss, I repeated, trying to sound stern, but these are various baseless accusations. Look at you. You're pathetic. Do you even realize you're slurring your words? The man walked up to me and standing only about a meter apart, his gaze holding mine relentlessly. What was it with this guy? I was expecting the usual tears, maybe incoherent shouting, but this was insane. You'll pay for your actions, Edward. I see you. I see all your feelings and pathetic coping mechanisms, you inadequate loser. In 2 days' time, you will wish you were lying dead in that morgue instead of my wife. He spat in my face. I stumbled backwards over his chair, scrambled to my feet, raced from the door from the hospital. If this man was going to start throwing accusations, I needed to sober up. In my fear, I decided to go AWOL for a day or two. That would be the best option. They might have their suspicions. I've been drunk. They couldn't have proved it without a blood or breath test. That would have been my only hope. That at inquiry, I could say I was horrified by the unexpected death and the man's assault that I had taken ill. That would have surely saved me. I couldn't go back to my house. Instead, I went to Sharon's flat. I had been having an affair with her for a few years. She was good with me. She always knew it was just a casual bit of fun and never pressured me for commitment. That's why we stuck around for each other for so long, I suppose. Good job my wife's divorce lawyers could never prove she existed. Even if she had been found, it would have been even poorer. No doubt. Anyway, she asked no more questions as I turned on her doorstep in the middle of the night, shaking. I told her there had been a problem at the hospital. I needed to lay low for a bit. She smiled. No problem. Come on in. Good old Sharon, loyal to the end. I cried a lot that night. My career was all I had left now, but hanging by a thread. My plan was to sober up, but Sharon and I shared a few drinks. I never needed booze so badly. Sharon was, as ever, very keen to console me, and I probably would have gotten lucky in the night. Despite my drunken, terrified state, I collapsed on her sofa instead. The next morning, I woke up. She threw a duvet over me. So sweet, sweet, supportive Sharon. Except sweet, supportive Sharon was lying dead on the floor next to me. I screamed, jumped to my feet. She was laying on her back, and a look of bewilderment etched on her open-eyed face, staring blankly at the ceiling. Rigor mortis was already settling in. Dead bodies don't usually bother me, the amount I've seen in my career, but poor old Sharon, she just looked so pale. I grabbed my mobile to call an ambulance, but hesitated. This, of course, looked very bad. Apart from the tumor of the hospital, the divorce was 100% final yet. A revelation with my affair. Sharon could change things in a way that would really mess up with my position. I've had enough going on without worrying about this stuff. Eventually, called an ambulance for her landline, disguising my voice, and fled. I could be caring sometimes, you see. I didn't want someone who meant so much to me to just lie cold on her lounge floor for days. I kept my head down as I ran through the streets, planning my next move. Going home was risky, but I needed my car, and I needed to get out of the city. Alcohol was pumping in my veins, and I was in enough trouble at work, and another couple of days wouldn't make a difference. Luckily, there didn't seem to be anyone about. If the police had come at all, they didn't seem to be monitoring my place. I started up the engine of my Jaguar and bombed down the street. Unfortunately, I didn't make far. The engine was so reliable, it started to splutter and slow her down. It sounded crazy, but I felt some sort of force coming out of my hands, running down my arms into the car, poisoning it, killing it. Come on, I roared, cursing my luck yet again. What have I done to deserve this? It struggled down another couple of streets and gave out entirely. Horrified, I abandoned in the middle of the street and continued on foot. It was a couple of miles to the countryside. I would have worked something out when I got there. Running on the street, I felt that strange sensation of negativity force pushing itself out of my body. The trees lining the suburban road were now wilting as I passed them, their leaves falling despite the season, their barks turning instantly hard and looking decayed. A bird fell out of the sky and nearly hit me on the head. Going to the edge of the city at last, I started holding out my hand, thumb raised to hitchhike despite the last day, so I cut a smart figure. As I hopped into the clean-cut appearance might have persuaded someone to stop, I could make up some nonsense about being lost or car trouble. Neither were strictly speaking lines. The first couple passed me without stopping. On the third attempt, I met eyes with the driver, a teenager who had probably only had recently passed his test, gave me the warmest of reassuring smiles. A famous beside manner came in handy here. He nodded and signaled to pull over. I haven't noticed the whole pothole meters in front of me. The chances were 1,000,000 to 1. If he hit it wrong, my ankle would have veered madly. His car veered madly, having bad luck to smash into one of the trees lining on the road. The engine instantly burst in flames. The tree was weakened, a huge branch fell on the car, crushing the area where the driver sat. People started to scream out of the surrounding houses onto the road, attracted by noises of the crash. In all the commotion, I was able to slip away fairly unnoticed, I think. I ran into the countryside and kept running. Trees, bushes, and animals all dropped dead as I passed. Tried to get to the most remote area. I could eventually find this barn. It's tiny, abandoned, an old farming building, I think. I haven't heard of anyone pass in the day I've been here. I've tried everything. First, I tried to hang myself with a belt, but the tree died as I hung there and dropped me spluttering to the ground. I tried drowning myself, but when I passed out, I woke right as rain on the riverbank. I guess some easy opinions off the table. I have a plan, though. A plan, and hallelujah, a weak and intermittent 3G signal. This is a way of telling me This was the way the world was telling me was happening to me. When I get back to the city, return to my old family house, and what needs to be done, I just don't want to be seen another professional failure who snapped, killed his wife and her new boyfriend. I'm just playing the hands of the dealt. I'm just playing the hands I'm dealt. You see, and at least if you're reading this, you understand when you see me on the story news. After that, I'm going to the bastard who cursed me. If he wants death, I'll bring him some. Then if he wants himself to the police, no doubt they'll lock me away in solitary confinement somewhere for the rest of my days, but at least I'll have someone better for my divorce at last. But don't worry, pretty sure this power, if you can call it, doesn't work over the internet posting. Hope not anyways. But if you feel ill in any way for the next couple of hours, get yourself a doctor and check their breath mints first. Well, this honestly, like, this cannot be real. Like, there's just, unless there is a way, but I don't know. I mean, literally, that would suck so much. You know, I don't know, just, like, literally walking by anything and just, like, having everything die around you. That would suck. That, honestly, would be, like, the worst superpower ever. It sounds like something from, this could be literally turned into, like, a superhero movie, I guess. Some kind of fucking X-Men movie. I don't know. But this was pretty interesting, question mark? Damn, I wasn't feeling good before I read this, now I feel worse. Same here. Maybe you should have tried not murdering that girl. I'm reading the comments. You're kind of a horrible person. Sounds like you deserve it, bud. Have fun fleeing, though. So the car died, but the phone did it. I'm afraid your car might have an Autobot. Since it was a Jaguar, wouldn't it be maximal? But oh my god. Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. Touch me for science. This freaks me out at 4 in the morning. So yeah, that was r/NoSleep. Everything I touch dies. I hope y'all enjoyed. I got plenty more where that came from. I'm probably gonna read a couple of these because why the hell not? That's basically it. If you're new to my channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, as the bell so you're notified when I make videos which is daily. Also, if you want me to do some other stuff on Reddit, be sure to leave a comment or suggestions down below and I'll check them out. And that is basically it. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.